Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hey, Luda.
That is Vanessa.
Hello.
I am Kelly. Hey, you guys, Eric and Vanessa know this, and a few other people know this. I have written a novel.
What?
It is my first novel, and it is going to be coming out sometime in 2024. But because I am insane,
Yeah.
I have decided. What was that, Eric?
I'm sorry, what? Continue.
Totally
I have
sane.
decided to make this a lot tougher on myself because I am going to release this novel prior to its release in 5 monthly installments in a very limited capacity of only 33 copies per installment. And if you go to my website, written by K.L. Young, you will be able to basically hit a PayPal button. There was only 33 slots available, and quite honestly, there's less than 33 slots available because a couple of people got advance reading copies of the first installment and have reached out and said, please sign me up for a full subscription.
Yeah, dude.
They're going to be $15 a piece plus shipping and handling, probably a $20 investment every month. Now, at the end of this, you will have spent, $80 on $100 on a novel. And that seems like too much to me. But it is a very limited edition novel. It is signed by the author, myself, and the cover artist, Wade Chitwood. It will be numbered 1 through 33. And when you hit that button, I will give you the number that you are, starting from number 1 and going all the way to the end. And you will get that number on all 5 installments. So you'll have a matching set of these, and it's really cool, and it's made so limited because 2 reasons. I think limiting things like this is a really neat collector's thing for collector nerds like myself, and I'm just always trying to do stuff that I would like to have. And B, I limited Infernal Combustion to 99 copies, which means I made, several trips to the post office, and I realized I don't want to make as many trips to the post office this time. So this is kind of also on me. Also, if you are international
Do some math here.
and you feel like you have to do this, reach out to me and I will make it work. I know there are some people that I've said I don't want to do this for, and it's ridiculous. I sent some stuff to Rob Corliss in Australia, and it was a $70 shipping fee.
Yeah.
So, we can talk about it if it's something you really feel like you need. Full disclosure, the full novel will come out sometime probably summer 2024, and it will be regular priced. It will be, whatever, a $11.99 novel. If you feel like this is too much to spend, then please wait for the novel. I'm not making any money on this, so you're not really supporting me. It's just a cool little collectible.
You're not selling this well at all. I will say, having seen some of the early copies of these chapbooks, they're so fucking cool.
Yeah,
They
they're really
look
cool looking.
rad.
They are great.
You've definitely spent a lot of time on this, a lot of energy, and a lot of your artistry and vision is cool to check out in real life. So support our friend who's an artist who gets depressed
I probably
if no one buys his
Probably
stuff.
should have asked Vanessa to make
There
this
you go.
announcement for
Yeah,
me.
next time don't do this. Don't.
When the novel comes out.
In other words, please do not buy my serialized novel that is out immediately. So I'm making this announcement as we're pre-recording it. The button will be live when you hear this. If it's Thursday that you listen to this episode when they first dropped, it will be there when you go to my website. I'm also going to post Thursday on Facebook that I am putting it out there. This will sell out.
It
That's
has
that's
to.
kind of the point of it was I didn't want to have extra copies lying around.
Yeah. And if you are on a website and there is a sweet looking lady on there, You are on the wrong Kale Young writer website. Please readdress yourself.
My website is writtenbyklyoung.com, and it has a lovely photo of myself taken by my dear friend Carlos. Eric just announced to me that this episode comes out October 26th, which means that's when these books will be coming out. October 26th. They will ship sometime in November, and then, you'll get basically a PayPal invoice from me on December 1st or whatever. And assuming you pay that, I will send you the next chapter. And that will happen for 5 months and will not happen after that. So that's how it works.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah.
It is a really cool horror story. I really dig it, and I hope you dig it.
Can you?
Can you dig it?
Oh, you guys. The lowest fruit.
Always.
Always.
Look.
You ran right into it. Oh my God, an apple-shaped dent on your head.
Okay. All right. That was the shameless promotion part of the episode. You guys, I saw a movie.
Ooh.
Now, I'm not sure why I saw this movie, but I saw it. It is called The Nun 2.
Oh my God,
Really?
why? Why?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because the Rotten Tomatoes for this was at 43% and 80% with the audience.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, is this just somebody, having a good time with a film, which is what I like to do?
Mhm.
I watched it. I liked it.
Really?
Did you see the first one? I
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah, I hated the first one.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm not going to say this is a stellar movie or anything like that, but as far as the expanded Conjuring universe goes, this is better certainly than the last couple of those movies.
It's not the first time they've released a better sequel to the original, like when Flanagan did.
Right.
Ouija.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is much better.
I don't know. I mean, the original movie must have made enough money that they said we're going to give it a sequel, because I remember thinking that movie was trash.
Yeah.
After this movie, I was like, well, I'll watch another Nun movie. There
Wow.
was some fun stuff in it. It is not
Wow.
a scary movie at all. It's almost a horror action film.
What Blumhouse has become in
Yeah.
a lot of ways, sure.
Yeah, and the Nun monster is cool looking, So I had a good time with it. The Nun 2.
I am
Cool.
shocked.
I knew you would be.
I am completely shocked.
Look, it's no Saw X.
I was going to say,
but
it's got to be better than Saw X.
you know what I loved is you came on here and just trashed that
Yes.
film, and then the next day it came out, and the Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at 70, and the audience has it at like 92.
Oh, people love it.
Yeah.
People I understand that I am not the audience. I'm very aware, but I'm just saying, for me, it was a piece of trash of a movie. I want my time back. So initially I was almost suckered into watching a movie, almost,
Okay.
that has shown up on a couple of my friends, like, must watch for Halloween or for October, or this was such a surprise fun film, and I was
So you're
like,
going to talk about a movie you didn't watch?
yes.
Okay. Okay. Clarifying.
And just no, let's be clear. So I started Hoobie Halloween.
Oh no.
I got
What?
Hoobie Halloween, starring Adam
Adam
Sandler.
Oh,
Sandler's-
God.
Netflix.
Yeah.
I got maybe 10 minutes in. There were fart jokes. I mean, he was doing a fun, like, maybe not so mentally capable man accent. It was bad. And I was getting so unhappy that my husband was like, "We can just turn it off." And I said, no, I can do it. And he's like, no, we can just stop watching this movie. And I was like, okay. So instead,
Wait a second. Was Austin having a good time with it?
he was having a good time watching how unhappy I was.
Well, this is the basis of
Squirm.
a strong relationship.
Yeah. I think he was kind of curious about, like, how this was going to go over, because I had suggested it, and then watching me become very visibly irritated, he was like, I don't know if he would have naturally liked it or not, frankly, but anyway, so I'm going to talk about something else, because that movie is not for me at all. So instead, I continue to watch Fall the House of Usher, which I'm not fully all the way through yet. but it's oh god, it's so fucking magical.
I really like it.
It is, I would say, I haven't finished it yet,
Mhm.
but if Flanagan has a masterpiece, I would have to say this is it.
Mm.
Yeah. It's I'm what 4.5 episodes into it, and it's just like, holy shit, it's incredibly, incredibly well done.
Yeah, you can see why after watching the first 2 episodes at Fantastic Fest, I was like,
Yeah.
"This is the best thing I've seen."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love all of the Poe references throughout. I mean, this is very, very broadly the story, the fall of the House of Usher.
Sure.
Mm.
But he's put in all of these other Poe stories into it, and I was just like, wow, this is just the amount of work that went into writing this out is crazy.
I've gotta, like, read more Poe clearly, because like, I'm just enjoying it from knowing the vaguest of references and being like, "Oh, there's, a wall that's been cemented in, and there's a raven here, and there's
Right,
a
right.
strange, ticking sound." And I haven't seen and there's a cat.
Black
So there's, like, little things in here that I'm noticing, but I think that there's probably a lot I'm
Well,
missing.
all the titles of the episodes are Poe
Very, very,
stories.
Yeah.
very big Easter eggs.
Mhm.
The Rue Morgue one, I think, was
Yeah.
one of my favorites,
Yeah, that
and
was
then
good.
the Telltale Heart was also like a shocking one for me.
Oh,
Mm.
cool.
And I was like, holy shit, I love this. And this is how anxiety works. I'm getting towards the end of it, and I'm like, don't fuck this up, Flanagan. This is the best thing I've seen in forever. You better nail this landing.
Yeah, no
Yeah, that's
shit.
why I'm still so mad at this man, because I'm like, anyone who calls his own films part of the Flaniverse should not be any good at what he does. And yet I am just so suckered in. I think I
Maybe it
still
was like his wife one night was going, you know what? See this all this Marvelverse stuff. I dare you. I dare you to go on to a podcast or something and call yourself the Flaniverse.
I can see her doing it too. She seems like
And
a sassy lady.
and unlike Rob Zombie, she can act.
Oh
Holy
man.
Holy
she
cow.
is
She's
so good.
so good. I can see why he keeps using her.
Mhm.
And I love how much fun she is having. And
Yes.
and all of his actors, frankly. Like
Yeah.
they're unrecognizable from one show to the next. And just Midnight Mass, which is still my favorite.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, that's great.
It got me so well. But the cop in that, which I just completely fell in love with, here is this like petulant drug induced shitty dude,
Sleazy.
sleazy
Yes.
man, and I'm just like buying it, and I feel like most acting you get sucked into a look or a type or whatever and you can't move, and from this it's like wildly different from one
He
to the next.
he has obvious respect for the actors he works with
He
and feels
does.
that he feels they can do whatever they need to do because he sure keeps working with the same people.
Yeah.
The greatest delight to me was, in like episode 2, finally realizing I was looking at Mark Hamill
Oh yeah.
Yes.
as Arthur Pym, the
Oh, Mark Hamill's
lawyer. And I
killing
kept
it.
looking at him going, I know this guy from somewhere,
Mhm.
but his voice is so strange and his acting is so weird that I couldn't put it together. So I'm just absolutely in love with it.
Yeah, I love that he folded Mark Hamill in. It's so good. So
I
good.
was listening to the last episode we did where you were talking about this, and you had also mentioned 30 coins, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, come on, 30 coins, can't wait.
Cannot wait. Yeah, I cannot wait for you guys to see that because it is also incredible. But
Very cool.
yeah.
Well, and another one I think we've all seen.
Mm.
No One Will Save You.
Yes.
The
We
Alien Home
keep
Alone.
forgetting to talk about this.
Now's your chance. So, as the true horror person of Aliens,
Mhm.
what did you think of the film?
I mean, it was a little rough at first.
Yeah.
It was a little tough for me. It's always going to be tough, especially if you have Grace in it. It's a lot. But once the lore started opening up further and you realized that the horror was maybe perhaps not quite what you thought it was,
Oh yeah.
that really changed my perspective and my fear levels of the actual aliens. So, yeah, I don't know how much spoilers we really want to do here, but
When has that ever stopped us?
that's true.
Well, I think a lot of what I liked about it was Caitlin Dever,
Sure.
What a
Yeah.
performance.
who I'd watched previously on Justified, where she played a several years ago, so she's much younger, but she played a drug dealer
Oh,
who was just constantly trying to be saved, and she would not let herself be saved. She was just phenomenal in that. So as soon as I recognized her, I'm going, okay,
Mm.
I am in for this because I think she can support a film, and Jesus, she can support a film, man.
yeah. So good with so little dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost none.
Mhm.
That's pretty interesting. I liked much of this. I wanted the ending to be a little darker.
Yeah.
For an
Yeah.
ending that was kind of dark, I wanted it to go a little darker, especially from the
Yeah.
guy who had done, like, his last two movies I loved. He did Love and Monsters, which I really
Yes.
loved. And then what was the one with the kids' heads exploding?
Oh, starts with an S. Spontaneous.
Yeah.
Spontaneous. And
Yeah, that was good.
that was really good too. And I didn't think this was as good as either of those.
Mm.
And I thought that the aliens, you get that CGI going,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, almost.
She did some good work with what was very obviously some rough CG. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if she doesn't get an Emmy nom for this, I
Yeah.
would feel like, we have to riot or something. She was spectacular.
I wouldn't count on an award ever, but I would say she's got an Emmy in my heart.
there you go. There you go. Yeah.
She
Let's
did
make
great.
sure she gets a Charles Dexter Award this
Yeah.
Oh,
year.
there you go.
Let's just
Yes.
place one to the side for her.
Yeah. So I mean, it had moments. It was like I said, it's kind of Home Alone with aliens,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think it works overall. I've seen some, per usual, anything that comes out and people initially say this is great. You've got, oh no, it's not.
Right.
Like I've yet to read a reason that I necessarily disagree with. That's some people are saying is wrong with the film and why they didn't like it. I go, well, yeah, but that didn't make the movie shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the effects are a little rough. Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. So
I just love how she is so reactive at all times
Mhm.
physically. And you're like, man, like she's surviving something
for
that
sure.
pretty
Yeah.
much no one can survive just because she can't help herself.
Yeah.
She just has to react. And that was just a really cool part of
I
the
think it was,
story.
Rebecca McKendry on Color Out of Space who made a great observation. It's like there's a dark story element to her
Mhm.
history that's dark enough to where, whatever else happens to me for the rest of my life, I don't
Right.
care. I can deal with it because I dealt with that.
Right.
So it's like, good point.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't think that Hulu gets talked very often about their originals, but, like the Hellraiser one I thought was good, but not
Yeah.
great. But Prey was fantastic,
Really
and this
good.
is really good. And I sure hope that they are able to continue pumping out
Mhm.
this kind of stuff.
Well, they've got some kind of joint deal with Disney at this point. So I don't know.
Right.
I
They
don't know
have
if
for a
they're
while,
owned
though,
or
because I think
not.
they're ABC.
Yeah.
And
Ah.
ABC is Disney. And I think it's just that
Ah.
Disney wasn't streaming, so Hulu was separate. But now
Right.
that once Disney kicked in,
Yeah.
right away they had subscribe to Hulu,
Weirdly.
ESPN, and Disney. I'm like,
Yep.
that's a weird combination.
Yep.
Yeah, so No One Will Save You on Hulu. I think that's a great Halloween viewing.
Yeah,
Yes. Absolutely.
I am going to change gears, you guys. Vanessa and I were talking off the air, and I realized I probably have to bring this to everyone's attention.
Sure.
yeah. Okay.
This is chapter 29 of The Decline of Western Civilization. It
shit.
is a series on Netflix, a British series called Naked Attraction.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. I haven't seen it, but you told me about it, so let's hear this.
Yeah.
This is like a dating game type show where they bring in a man or a woman, and they have told the producers what they look for physically in a person. And then they have these 5 boxes that you can see the silhouettes of people behind, and they slowly raise the level of the boxes so you can see the completely nude people underneath, but only to a point.
Oh.
So we'll go up, just to their stomach or something. And so here's 5 people with their vaginas and penises hanging out, and this person then talks with the host of the show, and they go around, and she says, "What do you like about this penis?"
Oh
and
my God.
and she's like, "Well, it's a little small, I have to admit." Or this one, she says, that's a little intimidating, and or the guy, the same thing with the guy. There's a girl, you only see up to her stomach, so there's her vagina, either with a huge bush or completely shaved, and he'll say things like, "Oh, looks like the meat's spilling out of the buns here, doesn't it?"
Oh my
And
God.
and you're watching this, and you're just going, "What? Is this real?"
And it's not blurred, right?
It is not blurred, no. And so then after saying, and the people who are being critiqued say nothing. So then they're like, let's raise it a little bit more, and they raise it, to about the neck. So now you can look at their tits or their man boobs or whatever, and tattoos and all this stuff, and just all commenting on that. And then as this process goes, she has to eliminate people one after another until she's just left with two. And when there are two, then she has to get naked, and they all stand there naked. They all comment on each other's physicality, and then she has to send one of them away, and then they go on a date with clothes on.
Uh, what?
Uh,
What is this
Vanessa,
on?
this is on Netflix. There are
What?
6 seasons on
Oh my
Netflix,
God.
but there are 16 seasons total. And
Holy
I
shit.
could only make it through the first 14 seasons before I said, I've had enough of this.
God.
No, in all honesty, I watched 2 episodes, and then I
Oh my God.
called a few people and said, this is not a recommendation, but I do feel like you need to be aware of this
Oh my God.
because it's possibly the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. And it's so uncomfortable, the things that are being said right in front of these people, and at one point you finally get to hear them talk. And that is also quite illuminating.
Sure. I mean, I
It's,
feel like it's so the opposite of the other Netflix show.
Yeah, that's
yes.
that's
Uh,
when you told her to be that before. I was like, well, that's the opposite of the one Vanessa was talking about.
yeah, which I like because they can't judge each other physically, but then of course it all falls apart when they see each other and they aren't physically attracted.
Right. This is,
Oh my
like
God.
I said, not a recommendation. I urge everyone to watch one episode so that you can share the pain.
Oh my
It's
God.
it's so uncomfortable, and I'm like, what have
Oh,
we come to? This is
uh,
why the terrorists hate us.
yeah. When I was working for Technicolor, one of the shows that I had to QC was something called Style by Jury. And it was like a bunch of people behind a glass, and it was like a one-way glass, and they would see somebody sit down and they would just slag them off physically. They would talk about how they're ugly, they're frumpy, not only
Jesus.
physically how they look, but also how they dress and maybe some improvements they could make. And then the rest of the episode, which was only a half hour long, if that, was they would give them a makeover, right? So they would redress them, they would give them a makeup over, and then they would do plastic surgery.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I remember US had a show like that too at
I
one
think it
point.
is a US show.
Is that
Yeah.
Plastic
And
surgery.
it was the worst show I had ever seen in my entire life.
Extreme Makeover or something like that.
It wasn't part of the Extreme Makeover series, but it was like in that vein of that era. And the surgeries were so fast and so
Oh
bad that
no.
no one ever looked better after, and it was just heartbreaking. So like that's the throwbacks I'm getting from
Well,
that
Vanessa,
era.
I feel like this could be your new number 1 worst show you've ever watched.
I don't think I can even try. I don't want to see that much stuff from people. I don't
Swinging meat.
want to see it. I don't want to know. It's one thing if it's like part of a story and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm seeing this dude's thing or this chick's whatever.
One of the guys had a pretty impressive dong, and
Sure.
I'm like, he had to give that a couple of yanks before the thing pulled up. But
Oh my
anyway,
God.
most impressive was the elephant face tattoo that was around it. The dong being, of
God.
course, the trunk of the elephant.
Oh my
And they
God.
asked people, what is your favorite thing about yourself, and what's your least favorite thing? And he said, well, my least favorite thing is probably the tattoo. Not the best decision I ever made. And I was like, you know what? I like you a little better for admitting that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I still don't think that I could be with somebody who's got a tattoo that turns their genitals into the face of whatever that
Do
tattoo
these
is. But
dates go well? I mean, you don't know anything about the person.
that's that's it. They go on a date, and sometimes it goes well, and sometimes it doesn't. But then they check in a month later and say, "You guys continuing to see each other or not?" And the 2 episodes, one was continuing to see each other, had really made a strong connection,
Wow.
and then the other one had fizzled out on that date.
I bet.
Yeah.
So
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, good times. It's called
Oh,
Naked Attraction, people. It's on your Netflix. You know, if what you're looking for is full frontal nudity, you're gonna get a
oh
lot
my.
of that here.
Oh, I just want to barf. Okay, so I saw something that I've been meaning to talk about for a little bit, and I think you guys have finally gotten around to checking out, or at least maybe Kelly has. VHS 85.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Mm.
Uh,
So, out of the VHS segments, or out of the VHS
Movies.
series movies, how does this one hold up for you guys?
you tell us first.
What was?
Um, I really like it. I think that I don't know if it's my favorite or not, but it had some really strong segments continuously, and I like the interspersing story, which really does not have anything to do with like the origins of this VHS tape
Right.
necessarily, but like it was a lot of fun.
You say you can't tell if it's your favorite or not. Which one is as close to being this good?
Well, they all blend together. That's why I'm
Okay.
saying it's hard
Now
because
this
like
one was on that, but
I
was
re-
it also this? Yeah.
yes, I'm like there's certain ones I really really enjoy, but I segments, but I don't know which VHS they belong to. So
How many movies are there in the franchise now?
Don't know.
what,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
5 or 6?
Something
Is
like
there that many?
Yeah. There's
I
quite a
remember
few.
watching the first one
Yeah.
and not being impressed,
Yeah.
and trying to watch the second one and not finishing.
hmm
And I watched this one because it was free on Shutter,
hmm
and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
Last year's was pretty fun too.
Was
I
it?
Yeah.
I like this one a lot. This might be probably my favorite segment overall.
Yeah.
As far as a movie to watch end to end, probably
Yeah.
my favorite one. I thought the wraparound was incredibly well handled.
I
It's
did
really
too.
good.
Like it took me a while to figure out, oh, this is the wraparound. Oh,
Yep.
that's cool.
Yep. Especially when
Um,
they keep cutting away and you're like, wait, what? Did that story finish? And there was one other story that didn't
That-
finish immediately
That
either.
that picked up as a different
Yes.
videotape, and I
Yeah.
loved that one just because of the world building that was done
Yeah.
So
in
good.
such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
That was one, and when it first cut off at the end, I'm going, well, shit,
Yeah.
really? Damn it! Make a feature out of that one. Oh, it's back. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know that it could handle being a feature, but
No.
it felt very much like a short story you would have read in one of those anthologies from the 80s.
Mhm. Yep.
Mhm.
And I had a really good time with it.
And I would think technically, like we talked about the previous one, the biggest problem we both had with it was the very obvious overlays to
Mhm.
create the look of VHS.
Yeah.
I think this one handled it very well.
It felt really good.
I
It
mean,
felt very
The
naturalistic.
aspect ratio, whatever, that's
Mhm.
whatever.
I'm not
is
worried about
not
that.
correct, but I
Yeah.
don't care because it's a modern made film.
right.
Yeah.
But the effort to make it look like a VHS, like when it was a really solid new one,
hmm
it looked like a new one looks like it. But
Mhm.
then occasionally it would get completely fucked up, and that wasn't that consistent, repetitive
Yes, it wasn't a
snow coming
loop
back and forth. Like,
thing.
and
Yeah.
this, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah.
There were
I agree.
a couple of scenes. I mean, you guys know that I almost hate found footage kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so this is always a hard one for me to ever get fully invested in, especially when, the camera will suddenly go to somebody while something insane is happening. The camera will move over for a reaction shot of
Yeah.
somebody. And I'm like, okay, well, you had me. And then you did this stupid thing. So there's stuff like that in there that I didn't like. But overall, especially for a free horror movie during the Halloween season, you
Yeah.
could do a lot worse than this, I think.
Really,
Oh,
really good.
absolutely. Yeah.
So it is on
Okay.
Shutter, right?
Yeah.
VHS 85.
Let's see. Okay, I watched a harrowingly unpleasant documentary.
Oh no.
Monster Inside America's Most Extreme Haunted House,
Okay.
about that
Oh.
Russ McKamey, how do you say his last name, guy?
Is this been out for a little bit?
No, this is brand new. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
it
All right.
came
I
out
haven't seen it then.
Thursday, I think.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it.
You ever seen the extreme haunted houses where people
hmm
subject themselves to 8 to 10 hour experiences?
Oh,
And,
God, no.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's flat out getting tortured.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It is.
And sometimes to the point of like bleeding and stuff like that. And this guy is obviously found a acceptable way
Mhm.
to get his psychotic nature out
hmm
because it's brutal. And he makes you sign like these giant waivers and all this stuff about that. And they're talking to a lawyer at one point. It's like, really, if somebody wants to sue him, this waiver is not going to hold up in court, considering some of the things he has done.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, it does not involve any sexual assaults, any rapes, although he might have done that outside of it with some of his groupies,
my
setting them
God.
up.
Wait a second. So is this documentary just kind of promoting his thing, or is it?
No.
Okay.
I've seen he videotapes everything he does. So he has hundreds of hours of video out there. I first discovered this sicko a few years ago watching YouTube. Well, is this trying to figure out if this was a movie, if it's
Right.
real? It's like, oh my God, this guy's real.
Mm.
And he like doesn't charge for it. It's like dog food
Oh,
to
interesting.
get in.
Yeah.
And he's
Huh.
got to get approved through the wait list. And they interviewed people who'd worked. One of the guys actually worked with him for a couple of years till he hit a point where it's like one of the people came out and he's like, I can't believe what you did to that person physically, so I'm done working for you.
Oh,
Wow.
And she was in the hospital like puffy and all messed up and shit.
what the fuck?
And he basically, once he gets too much notoriety near, he just moves. And
Yeah.
I don't know where he is now.
But he is allowed to continue doing this. This
He
is
is
not
still
like
doing
a
it
this
there.
is not like a true
The-
crime documentary where he was tried and arrested for
Nope.
something. What the fuck?
The
So do they talk
wild-
to people who have gone through this?
Yes,
And and they recommend it, or
No, he still has fans. Like if you go to the Facebook page, they're fervent
Wow.
defenders of what he does. But the main subjects of the documentary are people that, like, one of us was an ex-girlfriend, and one was somebody who, they're all people that ended up working with him in some capacity for a little while.
okay.
So it's rough, and I'm just like, why? Why would anybody? I mean, I know people who've said, when I talked to years ago, would say, "Oh yeah, I do it." No goddamn way I'm doing that. And I
No.
understand that we're all mentally different, and sometimes your capacity to deal with something needs something I will never understand. But there are, then they talk a little bit about the documentary. There are versions of what he's done that are run by people that give you safety words and constantly give you, do you want
Moments
us to
to
stop?
escape.
Should we keep going?
Yeah.
And they're almost as brutal as he is, but he takes away that
The consent.
there's no safe words. There's no basically getting out. I don't know how people,
Hmm.
he just gets tired of them or something. I don't quite know how they end most of their sessions.
The wild thing to me is I saw a documentary about haunted houses a couple years ago,
Mhm.
and it was about like multiple, and I think he was one of
Yeah,
them.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was you could tell that it was fucked up. I mean, I didn't think any of them looked particularly
No.
pleasing. They all seemed fucked up, but like you could tell that it seemed bad, but they weren't going there.
Right.
I don't think they showed quite how messed up it could be.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine looking further into that lens and seeing
Yeah.
what he's doing to these people.
So I was like,
Oof.
I'm good.
Oof.
Boy, I
Oof.
can't wait to never watch this
Yeah.
documentary.
Yeah, my favorite thing about haunted houses is that they can't touch me. I
Yes.
love that. That's my favorite
Yeah.
thing. I can stand there and I can look at them and assess their makeup and their fake weapons, and I can know they can't touch me. Like, that's what's great about a haunted house. You're allowed to be scared because it's safe. Like, for me, I don't fully grasp this. Like, yeah, go ahead and beat me or lock
Ugh.
me in something or
Ugh.
waterboard me or make me eat the dog food I gave you. You know, like, I don't understand that, or feces or whatever else. Like, I don't understand that. But anyway,
Takes all type, but that's definitely not a type I am
Wow.
leaning
Correct.
towards.
Holy cow, Eric.
Yeah.
I thought I had brought us to a new low with Naked Attraction. But
I guess not.
I
Go watch
guess
that as a palate
Wow.
cleanser.
no kidding.
Jeez, this is the end of the month, right? I mean, holy cow, you guys.
How about we take a little break?
Oh, God.
I can go scrub my brain.
Yep. I
And
need some
then
bleach.
when we come back, we finish up our Ray Bradbury Theater retrospective.
In the instant of getting an idea, I go act it out on paper. I don't put it away. I don't delay. I don't put off to tomorrow doing what I must do right now to find out what my secret self needs, wants, desires with all its heart. And then it speaks, and I have enough brains to get out of the way and listen. And 2 hours later, sitting at the typewriter, you look at the paper and you say, ah, so that's what I think about the death of Hemingway. Is that how much I was hurt? So that we act out these tensions continually. We keep cleansing the stream, just as any impurity running downhill in a river, by the time it travels 9 miles, is purified. So the life of a man traveling to the sea, which is our inevitable death someday, purifies itself. It must. Because if you do not purify, these tensions remain in and turn in on yourself and destroy you. The man who cannot laugh freely is a sick man. The man who cannot cry and release his tears in that direction is a sick man. The man who cannot be violent through exercise, through sports, through acting out his violence in paper or painting or acting on a stage is a sick man. I've made the point on many occasions that the only thing you're ever going to own in your life is your work. I own my books. The farmer who farms creatively and happily is a man that knows every stalk of wheat or corn that comes up on his land, because he has tilled these fields, because he has planted the seed, because he has picked the fruit, because he has painted the barn. It doesn't sound like much, does it? But when you actually paint a house, I painted a house, a whole house once. I'd never done anything like it. It was hellish work. I hated every moment. But when I was over and stood back, it looked beautiful, and I was rather proud of myself. The house belonged to me suddenly. So we belong only by doing, and we own only by doing, and we love only by doing and knowing. And if you want an interpretation of life and love, that would be the closest thing I could come to.
Hello?
Let's see who's called the Strange Eons Radio Hotline.
Hi, Strange Eons Radio. Tom here, medium-term listener, long-term Vanessa enthusiast. Calling in with a slight complaint about the show's format. I love the second half of every show. I think the subgenres are brilliant. I love how you are surfacing films from the past that I'd never heard of. I've found a number of hugely enjoyable films that I'd never have come across were it not for your brilliant work. My complaint is really about the contemporary section of the show, the front end, where you have this fixation on discussing every latest entrant into the Marvel and DC cinematic universe. I think these universes are ultimately going to be considered a total irrelevance in the history of cinema, and that rather than sort of endlessly discussing and indeed largely complaining about films that are not worth watching, it might be worth your while and ours to spend more time focusing on new releases that are actually good and have some artistic merit. Just food for thought. Keep up the good work.
Oh my God. First of all, thank you, Tom.
Yes, thank you for calling and leaving that voice for us.
This was the problem at the Lovecraft Film Festival. The reason we know Joe Solomon is he was standing in line in front of me at the bar, and then he turned to say something, and I was just immediately enamored with his accent. And I said,
yeah.
why don't you come outside and join us?
I think this is 99% of why I am such good friends with Tom. Like, there's nothing he could say, no matter how withering, that I wouldn't just be like, no, it's fine. Just keep going.
Thanks.
He also makes a very good point.
Yeah.
But it is really funny because down at the Lovecraft Film Festival, we see Aaron and Leah there, and Leah's just like, I fast forward right, after you guys talk about your contemporary stuff. I don't care a bit about your topics. And so
it's like the opposite.
Everybody gets what they get out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Carlos has been pushing us to make this, to cut this into 2 episodes per week.
Right.
One episode where we talk about what we've seen this week, the other episode where we have our subgenres. And I've always thought that was a little harder. Now, if we had a ton of advertising or something like
Well,
that,
sure.
I'd be more than happy to do that.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I think, Tom, I really appreciate your ideas, and I think that fast forward button on your podcast player will serve you well.
Here's my particular issue and the reason why I can't necessarily conform to the request, which I totally get. I only have so much time.
Yeah.
So if I see something and it sucks, it's kind of all I have to talk about.
Oh, I think to
Listen.
Tom's point, he's like, why would we bother to watch those movies?
That's a good
Because they
question.
they seem to all be sucking
They
lately.
do
Yeah.
all suck lately, but I keep having this little glimmer of hope that maybe they won't. And I know that it's not gonna get any better, but I can't help it.
I did see that DC is blowing everything up for their none of the people that have played any of their roles are
Yeah.
coming back for future films and all that stuff.
Whoa.
It's like, well, yeah, that was the problem. The actors you hired.
Even
Yeah.
Jason Momoa?
Even while we were discussing your message, Tom, we couldn't stop
I was gonna say,
discussing
That's
Marvel
right.
and DC.
Still
how much
there,
stuff
man.
is that?
Sorry.
Thanks for calling, Tom. Please call again anytime you'd like.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll give you my regular number off the air.
Yes, we love you.
If you'd like to call the Strange Eons radio hotline, dial 253-237-4266.
Nobody hangs up on me.
We have returned. So as everybody knows, this month, we have spent discussing Ray Bradbury Theater. I called it The October Country because that was one of my favorite anthology books of Ray Bradbury's. And in the late 80s and early 90s, there was something called the Ray Bradbury Theater, 7 seasons on HBO and then on USA Network, 65 episodes, all based on Ray Bradbury stories and all written by Ray Bradbury, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And a lot of them had an intro by Ray Bradbury, as Vanessa has lovingly recounted.
Yes.
Maybe not the best guy to be your narrator for your
Nope.
anthology series.
Nope.
He's no Rod Serling.
He's no actor.
But this will be the last week we're doing this.
Yeah.
So, Eric, you want to get us started off? What episode did you start with?
Absolutely. And, I got to say, listening so far at least, haven't heard what you guys are talking about today. I think I did well.
Ooh.
I've really liked 3 of the 4 I watched, and the third one was fine. This was The Playground.
People ask, where do you get your ideas? Well, right here. All of this is my Martian landscape. Somewhere in this room is an African veldt. Just beyond, perhaps, is a small Illinois town where I grew up. And I'm surrounded on every side by my magician's toy shop. I'll never starve here. I just look around, find what I need, and begin. I'm Ray Bradbury, and this is... Well then, right now, what shall it be? Out of all this, what do I choose to make a story? I never know where the next one will take me. And the trip? Exactly 1/2 exhilaration, exactly 1/2 terror.
'85, '86, season 1 and 2 on all formats.
Oh.
Episode 2 on all formats. It's like, yay. So no matter where you look, this is season 1, episode 2. Directed by William Fruit, who is 27 episodes of Goosebumps, 95 through 96.
Nice.
10 episodes of Friday the 13th series. The House by the Lake and Spasms. So
So he's
Sounds like
a horror dude.
A
horror,
good
correct,
fit.
yeah.
Nice.
This was one of the few that had 2 writers. So there's Ray Bradbury was one, And Mark Masseri helped on it. He did 6 episodes of this Ray Bradbury Theater, plus That's Hollywood and Emergency! Exclamation point. This stars someone you may have all heard of, William Shatner.
Oh, yes. I saw the
Nice.
thumbnail.
Best known for 101 episodes of Boston Legal,
Hmm.
18 episodes of Shit My Dad Says,
Jesus.
90 episodes of TJ Hooker,
Yeah.
4 episodes of Ironside, 253 credits overall.
Wow.
Also has Kate Trotter in it, 4 episodes of the Friday the 13th series. She's in Tech War. I was
Of
like,
course.
oh, okay. 25 episodes of Kung Fu, The Legend Continues.
Oh, okay.
Puppets Who Kill. He also had 109 credits. And finally, Barry Flatman, who is in Saw 3, The Dead Zone, the original movie, 5 episodes of Fargo, Hell on the Heels, The Battle of Mary Kay, and X-Rated, a TV movie
Okay.
with 181 credits. So they went for their heavy hitters on this one. I wrote in here, yeah, I kind of like having the intro more than the ones that don't have it at all, even if it is definitely a step down from Twilight Zone or Night Gallery or any of those. But the show starts with a little kid who's being terrified on a playground, getting bullied quite extensively, and fade to William Shatner. So here's the little boy all grown up. The boy's mother the Shatner's wife and boy's mother has died, and Shatner needs to learn to be a parent instead of just being his best friend.
Ooh.
His sister is living with them and helping with them, so she spends a lot of time going, get over yourself. Take the kid down to the playground. It's all right. Kids play at playgrounds. And this is, of course, the same playground that he was brutally bullied at. It's one creepy ass playground. It's like an inner city playground with it's all buildings around the sides of it. It's relatively small. The ground is cement with some dirt thrown over the top of it. Everything's metal. The metal slides, the metal swings. It's just like, Jesus, that is doomed. And no parents. No parents at all. So when they first go there and Shatner goes to look at it, see about his kid going, it starts out, oh, it looks just fine. And then things start to fall apart. Kids are falling on the ground. Kids are beating each other up. And it just looks like a torture chamber going on down there as he watches. So I do like the sign at the entrance, use this area at your own risk. Yeah, no shit. Shatner keeps his kid from playing as he's looking around the playground. But as he's looking around, all the kids just stop playing and kind of just watch him. Like, what are you doing here? And somehow a little kid knows his name, calls him out, hey, Charlie. Like, who are you? And he assumes he's one of his coworkers' kids or something like that. So he met him that way. And as this progresses in the scene to the kids kind of turn into these weird zombie kind of looking creatures and come after him in the playground. And so, he grabs his kid and runs away. They also indicate this is hitting him so hard, he's having problems at work and life in general. And he relays to I guess it's not his sister, however, whatever the relationship is, that he was brutally bullied as a kid and found no help from his family and he's now, okay, I guess I need to face this. I need to go to the playground and figure out what's going on. This one I'm going to stick with go and watch it because the ending is so weird. You get a great Shatner kind of moments when he's going down the slide.
Excellent.
And
he's going down the slide. I got to see this now.
It's really, really solid. And the ending is really interesting. So it's kind of like, is that what's going on? Oh, shit. Okay. So I'm going to leave that one empty just because it's so interesting. And the way it happens visually is so cool. It sounds so much cooler than saying, well, this is what happens. So go watch this one. And so my first note, man, picked a good one. The show, the kid is about 6, maybe 7 years old. In the original story, Ray Bradbury wrote him as a 3-year-old.
Whoa.
Like, that's a little young. Even,
Yeah.
even by previous generations' use of playgrounds, sending a 3-year-old alone on the playgrounds, pushing it. So I'm
Yeah.
glad they aged him a little bit because that would have looked
Right.
very weird,
Right.
especially with the older kids.
It was a different time.
Yeah. The original story, as written by Bradbury, is still better.
Okay.
It's really, really good. It leans in a lot more. I think it's kind of long. It might be like 10 pages.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it's a little longer than the other ones, but it leans in a lot more to the character Shatner's plays, mental capacity, and everything that's going on. He took the elements of that story, unlike a couple you've talked about where you really liked and they just didn't mesh. He took the elements, wrote them in there, and reworked them very, very well for TV. So I think it's a great translation of the original story.
Well, we talked a couple episodes ago, I think, about he lived at home with his parents till he was
Yeah.
like 27. He
That's right.
married the first girl he dated and all that. So I wonder if he was horribly bullied as a kid.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I feel like that's just a rite of child passage, right?
I
We
feel
were
like
all
everybody was.
right. I was bullied.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we all were at some point, but there's also the extremes, where
Yeah.
some kid is focused on one guy and him and
Right.
his friends beat him up every day.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I think I'll do one of our final trivia notes here
Oh,
for our
okay.
final thing provided by Kelly.
Ooh la la.
Something Wicked This Way Comes was adapted for a low-budget 1972 British film. I have not known this.
I hadn't either.
Produced by the Forest Hill Film Unit and Drama Troupe and directed by Colin Finbow. Don't know who that is, but I would like
think
to
that's
see that.
something that we should have our listeners hunt out and send to us. Micah will probably be able to find that, right?
I would think so.
Challenge thrown.
I wish they'd remaster and release the early 80s Disney horror films. That one and what was the other?
Watcher in the Woods. Yeah, I think Something Wicked This Way Comes is on Disney. Is that not a remastered? It's on Disney Plus, I mean.
It probably looks good because they do pretty good stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm still that physical media guy. I'd love to have a copy with cool extras or something like that. But
I don't blame you. That sounds like a great story. I'm definitely going to look that one up.
Yeah.
I'm turning your buzzer off, Eric.
Sure.
And I am resetting it 10 minutes for Vanessa. Vanessa, I hope you had a great one also.
Yeah, mine was pretty interesting. I will say this entire month has been like box of chocolates. You just never know what you're gonna get. It's been a really fun experiment. This week I went with The Crowd.
I'll never starve here. I just look around, find what I need, and begin. I'm Ray Bradbury, and this is... Well then, right now, what shall it be? Out of all this, what do I choose to make a story? I never know where the next one will take me. And the trip? Exactly 1/2 exhilaration, exactly 1/2 terror.
Which is a really early one, season 1, episode 3.
Right after the one I just talked about.
Directed by Ralph L. Thomas, who has 13 credits, including Young Ivanhoe, the TV movie, A Young Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, and Ticket to Heaven. Written, of course, by Ray Bradbury, but also co-written by Mark Massari.
Hey.
I think we'd mentioned this at some other point before. He's co-wrote on 6 episodes of Ray Bradbury Theater. He also has a credit for Emergency, That's Hollywood, etc.
That's the same guy, yeah.
Same guy. Starring Nick Mancuso, who has 158 credits to his name, including Under Siege and Under Siege 2, Also, Ticket to Heaven. Weird. Wonder how he ended up on this one. 4 episodes of The Firm as Peanut Eating Man.
4
I know.
Wow.
He didn't even get a name. He just sits there eating peanuts, I guess. 2 episodes of The Outer Limits, 13 episodes of Matrix, not that one, 23 episodes of Stingray as Stingray.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I like that
Cool.
show.
And he's in about 4 to 5 films per year, none of which I've ever heard of. So he's working hard on something. Also co-starring R.H. Thomas, who has 100 credits, including Anne with an E, 27 episodes, 8 episodes of October 1970, 17 episodes of Avonlea, and also Ticket to Heaven. Weird. This story follows definitely, yeah, I don't know. It's an eerie one. It's a long, eerie one, not sci-fi like the others that I've been kind of seeking out. This one begins with a big party that seems to be letting out of a townhouse somewhere, and everyone is waving goodbye to Joe. Joe jumps in his cool white car and he's driving around a very, very empty city pretty badly. Like, I don't know if the insinuation is he's drunk or what, but he's drifting a fair amount. He's really not stopping at stoplights or signs, just generally very loose style of driving. What's going to happen? Who knows? Maybe a dog will run out into the road. He'll veer off and flip his car. So, of course, he does. We see him sort of crawl out with some blood on his forehead, and a crowd forms around him. And they're all kind of looking at him, and then an ambulance comes through and makes his way, and he gets taken off. He wakes up in a hospital, and he sees the spinning wheel of the car, and, he starts talking to the doctor and trying to remember what happened. And he's like, how long does it take for a crowd to form at an accident? The doctor's like, I don't know, weirdo. He's like, a couple minutes. He's like, how long does it take for a wheel to stop spinning? Because that's about the length of time. He's like, what, 20 seconds, 30 seconds? And the guy's like, I don't know, a couple minutes. It's fine. Don't worry about it. He was like, it was 2 a.m. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's whatever, go home. So this guy, Joe, he goes back to his studio. He's an artist. He works with neon, I guess. They don't ever quite say what he does, but
late 80s, yeah.
Yep. He's doing a big project, and his friend / coworker shows up and talks to him like, man, I can't believe you're back at it. They start talking about the accident, and he's like, how long does it take for a crowd to form?
No, weird.
And weird, they hear an accident outside the studio. So they go to look, and Joe is just obsessively looking. Where are these people coming from? Where are they running into? And how long does it take? And he times it. And sure enough, 20 seconds, a huge crowd is formed. He starts to become obsessed with this concept. And he feels like he might even be recognizing some of the people who were in one crowd and another. So he manages to get these cassette tapes that they'd filmed previously of accidents in the last couple years for some reason, and the crowd reaction shots, and he recognizes the same, it's like 4 or 6 people over and over again. And he also finds out that there's an accident report that all of those people were killed in accidents. Oh no. So
Sounds like you got a theme going from yours.
he decides he wants to hunt these people down and find out what's going on. And of course, his friend is like, that's a stupid idea. You should not do that. And then is immediately like, I'll go with you. Sounds great. So, as these episodes are. So he somehow pretty quickly finds one of the old man who is always looking. And he follows him down an alleyway and then sees a big dude at the end of the alleyway and runs away. And all of a sudden, he sees the other people who are in the accident. They're all kind of around, and he keeps running away because he's really scared. And I guess he just chickened out, and he doesn't want to talk to them. He jumps in his car to drive away, and what should happen? He gets in an accident.
What?
Oh.
Weird. Huh. He crawls out, but someone else does not survive. Perhaps his friend. And perhaps his friend is now maybe in the crowd. So freeze frame, really weird freeze frame, like Photoshop, like it's like he becomes blue and like outlined and like looks like there's weird dents in his face. It's a bizarre choice right there. I like the thing I like about this episode is really eerie. It's really not explained. And I do like that part, although it is maybe a little too loose because at points it's like, are these people angels? Are they bad? He thinks they're really bad and that they're sucking the life out of people and killing them. But I'm like, I don't know that. I feel like we could have explored that a little more. The decisions that are being made are way too fast. Friend not on board, super on board. Gonna go chase this old man down the street. Oh, never mind. Actually, I'm terrified. I'm running away from the old man. It's way too quick. And I think that's my problem with a lot of these episodes is I feel like maybe the story needs to be truncated in such a way that we didn't have to jump so quickly from thing to thing. The only piece of trivia I have on this is it is from a short collected. It's a short story collected in 1955's The October Country and also collected in The Weird.
Yeah, I ended up watching this one also,
Did you?
and I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was eerie.
It is eerie. I don't know. I have things I like about it and things I like less about it.
It's corny for
Yes.
sure.
I think that's the thing. The music is probably what it is. I think it's this 80s
The music is
weird.
bad throughout this
Yes.
series.
Yeah, that's
Quite bad.
very true.
It sounds like sitcom 80s music.
The ones that have less music, because the music, I don't remember the music on it. Most of the ones I watched, I think that's a bonus.
Right, right.
So I'm going to do one extra piece of trivia from Kelly's sheet here. Bradbury suffered a stroke in 1999 that left him partially dependent on a wheelchair. Despite this, he continued to write and even had written an essay for The New Yorker about his inspiration for writing, published only a week prior to his death. He made regular appearances at science fiction conventions until 2009 when he retired from the circuit. Aww.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're
Brad.
getting towards the end of his life there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Turn your buzzer off.
I made it.
Yeah, there you go.
Woo.
Give myself 10 minutes. I got a grand slam for my last
Oh,
one.
good.
I chose The Lonely One.
Ooh.
People ask, where do you get your ideas? Well, right here. All of this is my magician's toy shop. I'm Ray Bradbury, and this is...
This was season 6, episode 1. So I think there were only 6 seasons because I think this
originally.
is the last season. Season 6, episode 1. It was aired July 10th, 1992. Directed by Ian Mune, who has 16 credits. Came a Hot Friday, Bridge to Nowhere, and The Grass Cutter.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't recognize any of his stuff. Written by, of course, Ray Bradbury. Starring the lovely Joanna Cassidy, 177 credits, tons of TV, but also The Glove, which is a cool vigilante movie that I like. Wheels of Terror, Ghosts of Mars, The Grudge 2, most recognizable as the replicant Zora in Blade Runner that
Oh, yeah.
runs through all the glass. Harrison Ford kills. Also starring Sheila McCarthy, who has 152 credits, including Lath of Heaven, which is a really cool adaptation of a Ursula K. Le Guin novel, The Day After Tomorrow, and Anything for Jackson.
Nice.
And then last is Maggie Harper, who has 11 credits, including Ready to Run, The Other Side of Heaven, and 63 episodes of Shortland Street, which is one I'm not familiar with.
I've never heard of that.
Okay. The Lonely One. Welcome to the town of Greentown. It is a lovely little place, except for the fact that there seems to be a serial killer walking the streets at night and killing women exclusively. And for this reason, the police are asking everyone to not walk at night if they don't have to, and under no circumstances should they be walking alone, because that is how the killer, whom they have dubbed the Lonely One, has gotten each of his victims so far. We meet 3 older women in this town. Not old women, but women in their 30s and 40s who should probably be smarter than they are in this story. The women are Francine, Helen, and Lavinia, who we can tell is just a troublemaker. She's hot and loud and brassy and just the kind of chick that gets me going. They have also just discovered the latest victim of the Lonely One at the bottom of a popular walking ravine that has a long wooden staircase. So you think they'd be a little more careful of everything that is about to happen in this episode. They've decided they're heading out to the movies tonight, even though Francine is a little worried about being out after dark. Lavinia, she tells them they'll be fine and quit being a big pussy, pretty much.
Mhm.
She's almost cruel in the way she treats her friends, and her friends worry about this murderer that they just found the latest victim of that morning. It's like, I mean, I think that this is a reasonable worry to have, but
Sure.
not Lavinia.
Nope.
They go to the movies, but it gets out somehow later than they all thought it would, so it's quite dark out as they head home. And Francine and Helen live right next to each other, so that's not a problem as the three of them walk there. And then the two friends beg Lavinia to stay with them until morning, but she's like, "You guys are scared of everything. I'll be fine." Of course, the walk home is already quite a bit different without her two friends, and she keeps hearing noises. This episode does a really nice job of building tension. So even when there is a friendly police officer who shows up and offers to walk her the rest of the way home, you're immediately suspicious of this cop.
Oh, nice.
You know, you're like, don't do it, Lavinia. So somehow, though, she ends up in the same ravine with the steps that they found the dead body in, which is a little too convenient to me because this is kind of like the shortcut way, but there is a safe, well-lit way that's just a little longer walk. And you're like, I mean, come on, Lavinia. I get that you're an asshole, but you don't have to be stupid.
Mhm.
Anyway, she starts going through the ravine and then up the stairs, and pretty soon she's hearing noises and everything. She is convinced that she's being hunted through the darkness in the woods around her. After a short time, she's now running and she's terrified, and it feels very much like someone is behind her the way that, you know, it's being shot. It
Nice.
looks like you're seeing somebody's point of view. It's really beautifully paced, it's very solid. And then she sees her house in the distance and she's going for it. She pours on the speed, running through the yard, you know, gets her keys out, fumbles with the keys on the door and everything, finally gets into the house and slams the door and locks it behind her. And we're all relieved, right? But she also feels a little foolish because she can see out the window that there was no one chasing her anyway. And that is because the Lonely One has been waiting in her house this whole time for her to come home.
Oh, sure.
And that's where the episode ends. Really, really solid. I think I liked this one best of all my choices. Certainly the best directed of the bunch. And because of the non-existent effects and all of that stuff, I think the budget was spent on getting good camera shots and lighting and
Nice.
stuff like that. I will say this. I think The Lonely One is a bad name for the place to call a murderer because as soon as you hear it, you're like, oh, he's lonely.
Yeah, totally.
Just wants
For
a
your
friend.
guts. Okay, trivia. This is actually based on just one chapter of Bradbury's novel Dandelion Wine, which was published in 1957. Most of the book is focused on the routines of a small town America and the simple joys of being a 12-year-old boy. In 1971, the Apollo 15 astronauts named a moon crater Dandelion to honor the novel.
Oh.
And then I found this one. This is really creepy. The Lonely One name is actually based on a real criminal who was captured in Bradbury's hometown in 1928.
Ooh.
Not a murderer, though. After his arrest, the previously unreported aspects of the Lonely One's crimes finally appeared in the press. His name was Wayant. So starting in February 1928, he had broken into 33 places of businesses. Each time he broke in somewhere, he would write 3 letters. One was left for the owner of the premises, expressing his sympathy for their losses.
Oh my God.
A second was sent to the press, telling them how he did it. And then a third letter went to the police, telling them that they needed practice in solving crimes.
Oh my God.
All letters were signed The Lonely One.
Wow.
How weird.
Yeah, very strange stuff. I really loved this last one. This was just really good, if a little unbelievable, but I could see how this is a single chapter in a novel and,
Oh, sure.
stuff like that. I had really hoped that my very favorite Ray Bradbury story would be in Ray Bradbury Theater. It is a story called All Summer in a Day. And Vanessa, I think I had told you about it when we were first starting this. It's about a classroom on Venus,
Oh.
and every 10 years or something, the sun is visible and it stops raining, and the kids are all looking forward to it. And there's one little girl there who was born on Earth, so she remembers the sun, and she's really, really looking forward to this. And there's a couple of shitty kids in her classroom, and they lock her in a closet while the sun is out. And they all go play outside, and then they come back, and they kind of realize they forgot and left her in the closet all day. And it's just this heartbreaking story. And I was like, why wouldn't you do this one, Ray? It seems very easy to do. No dinosaurs.
But then what is super depressing or something? I don't know.
I don't know. It is a very heartbreaking story.
I wonder if they did that one in something else, like the Martian Chronicles or something.
It is. It was adapted into a couple of short films. I saw that, and I watched a couple of them, and what it really made me want to do was make it myself, because I was like, nobody did it right. I didn't cry once during these short films.
Yeah.
Then,
Do
I
it.
have one last bit about Ray Bradbury after passing. Numerous Bradbury fans paid tribute to the author upon his death, noting the influence of his works on their own careers and creations. Filmmaker Steven Spielberg said that Bradbury was his muse for the better part of his sci-fi career. On the world of science fiction and fantasy and imagination, he is immortal. Writer Neil Gaiman felt that, quote, the landscape of the world we live in would have been diminished if we had not had him in our world, unquote. Author Stephen King released a statement on his website saying, Ray Bradbury wrote 3 great novels and 300 great stories. One of the latter was called A Sound of Thunder. The sound I hear today is the thunder of a giant's footsteps fading away, but the novels and stories remain in all their resonance and strange beauty.
Oh,
Jesus.
It's almost like that guy's a writer or something.
weird.
Damn.
When when writers are complimenting you in your post-mortem, that's pretty fucking
I mean,
cool.
when Stephen King, too. I mean, come on.
I
Is
know.
there a more popular writer in the world for the last, 40 years?
That buzzer ends our discussion of Ray Bradbury Theater. I had a really good time with this. I would like to hear from the listeners and see if this was something fun.
Yeah. If you like
Yeah.
that, or if you went out and caught some that we didn't see that you thought were really good, let us know, because there's a fair amount of them.
Yeah, or if
Yeah.
you want us to do something like this with another series to, cover for a month or something like that, because we're getting into kind of themed months. If you're on the Strange Eons Radio Talk page,
Yeah.
you know that we
Yeah.
put up a poll to see what we'd be talking about in November. I was crossing my fingers for November, but Video Nasty November is what went out. And so that's what we're going to be talking about all next month.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's going to be kind of fun.
Yeah, there's
Cool.
there's a lot of movies in that group,
Yeah.
and most of them are like, why did you put this on here? But some are definitely like, oh, well, all right.
Well, little spoiler, you guys, and I'm breaking this to you guys for the first time. We're going to do something just a tad different for Thanksgiving. So,
Oh.
Sure.
so we'll see how that goes.
Is it gonna be birds again?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe I'll finally do one that's
Yeah,
good.
watch a good bird movie for a change.
It's not going to be birds.
Damn.
This is the part, though, where we say thank you to everyone who is out
Yes.
there spreading the gospel of Strange Eons Radio.
You had something about the Bradbury videos. I think you wanted to talk about on
What
the
did-
audio versus video that's going on now with our podcast and YouTube.
Oh, right. I was complaining to Eric that I thought, I listened to the show back on my on the highest of
That's right.
technology on my Zune.
Okay.
And I thought that the trailers that Eric is having to create for these Bradbury episodes were a little long, because obviously the shows didn't have trailers themselves. And then he reminded me that that was done for the YouTube listeners, and that's there's a visual component to why those are that long. So
Yeah, a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, I figured out that the process that I used to have to do to get the videos to work, because originally, way back when, hey, let's go behind the scenes here. This will be unfascinating.
sure.
I used to edit down the trailers, cut
Right.
them down. Now let's just play them. And then I realized, if I'm just playing them, let's just put the video on, because we got a lot of people on YouTube that are now checking it out. So these are a little weird. What's going on is I play the intro for the first one, and then the next two, it's kind of the start to about to where you see Ray Bradbury's name written by, and then I'll stop it. That worked well for a couple. I think The Lake was definitely not one of the ones that worked well for.
Very long.
It's like little sounds of, you can get your ASMR moment in listening to that one.
I love
So-
the sound of water.
So if you're curious about the trailers or something, now you can go to our Strange Eons TV on YouTube and actually see the trailers.
Let's just keep this boring discussion going.
Yeah,
There's no kind of rights issues if we're playing those?
No, generally the only rights issue you run into YouTube is music.
Okay.
They'll hit you hard for that. So
Okay. Well, good to know. Okay, so now is the part where we say thank you for everyone who is liking and sharing posts, who's out there commenting on YouTube videos.
Mhm.
Thank you, Real
Some good
Badger.
Yeah.
ones.
Who's calling in. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Carlos. All of that. Oh, I should give out the hotline
yeah.
number,
Yeah.
which is 253-237-4266. Please, if you feel like leaving us a message, especially if you have a British accent, do that.
Oh, yeah.
And also for participating in the value for value model, which is very simple. If you get any value from this, turn around and give that value back in whatever way seems appropriate to you.
That's right.
So next month, guys, we're getting into Video Nasty November. If you're listening to this and you have a particular Video Nasty you'd like somebody to discuss, I'm not saying it'll happen, but throw it out
Worth a
on the
shot.
Strange Eons Radio talk page or
Mhm.
the hotline, and we'll see what we can do about it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it. We'll see you next Thursday.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, yes. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Watch Hubie Halloween on Netflix.
Please don't.
Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
There were fart jokes